What's going on, people? Welcome to another Toronto Hoop Talk live stream. I am doing a reaction to the NBA lottery. Unfortunately, I couldn't watch it live, and in hindsight, I'm pretty grateful that that happened. That would have been an infuriating watch along. I did a live stream to the lottery last year when we lost the pick to San Antonio, and that was frustrating. But at least there was the silver lining of the pick this year. Uh, and I guess that's not quite, a silver lining after all, because this pick is worse off than the pick we could have kept last year. This is the ninth overall pick. I believe we could have kept the pick if it was 7 or 8 last year, something like that. I don't quite remember the numbers. Now, people say this is a better draft class, so I'll take their word for it. But man, the Raptors dropped 2 picks in the lottery. I've long had this name here on this channel for a while now. The failed tank commander. Unfortunately, our tank failed this year in Toronto. We're leaving with the ninth overall pick in the draft. Of course, the lottery balls can bounce whatever way luck has it, but we entered the lottery with the 7th best odds, which is simply just not good enough. Because I'll put it this way: when you watch your team play horribly all year, you want some payback. Not payback. You want like a reward for that. You want to be compensated for the absolute nonsense you were put through. And we're being compensated with the 9th overall pick for the horrible season that we had last year to watch basketball. So that's not great. I'll just throw now that I've referenced this here, I can get rid of this. Yeah, we're going to start with the Toronto Raptors at 9. Very frustrating. Very, very, very frustrating. The tricky thing for me about 9 is that it might be out of Kaman Malawach territory. Now, if you've watched these live streams on this channel, for the last little bit, what you'll know, or what you would have learned, is that I kind of got the feeling that we would pick Malawach anywhere 4 onwards. So that was kind of the thing about being 7. I felt as though, if we pick number 7, we might be getting the same pick as we would have had we picked 4. So really, like, the big thing for us is, can we crack the top 3, which was always going to be difficult as far as being one of the worst 3 teams in basketball. We were always going to need some luck in the lottery, but not only we didn't just have neutral luck. I mean, we had horrible luck, right? Dropping 2 picks down to 9. I think 9 might be a bit far out of Kaman Malawach's territory, and that's what scares me, because if we don't get Kaman Malawach, I don't know if we're going to be able to take a center at that pick. Now, I'm not overly familiar with the prospects. We're definitely going to learn more about these guys leading up to the draft. But it kind of feels like we're going to address another position that we already have players at with the 9th overall pick. Like I said, I think Malawach is the center to pick in the top 10. If you reach for another center, it does feel... Well, I mean, yeah, if you pick another center in the top 10, it does feel like a reach. So now we're at a tricky spot in terms of getting the most value for your pick versus having a team that's worth watching next year. So in a tough spot in terms of value. Like I said, if we won the 4th pick in the lottery, it would be cool. It would be nice. But in my head, I would just be like, shit, we're going to end up with Kaman Malawach anyways, right? Now we fought a 9, and I'm not even sure that happens. So that's pretty frustrating. In terms of the draft picks we've made recently, hold on. We haven't made a pick around 9 at all, because Grady was in the teens. Jacoby was around 18. This is still, I mean, one of the higher draft picks we've had in recent history, and this is still considered a very good draft class. So I do think we're going to get a good player, but you're looking at a player now that's like a starter, potentially a great contributor off the bench. You're not really looking at like a franchise-changing kind of a player, and that's what we need in Toronto. So having the 9th overall pick is very much a step towards creating a stacked team in terms of depth, in terms of options, and then hoping you can trade you can trade pieces from that kind of a team to get your superstar. So if you're 12 deep and you're like a competitive, scrappy 4 or 5 seed, you hope that you can go from being 12 deep to 9 deep because of a big trade, and actually become contenders by landing your superstar that you need. So we're very much headed in that direction. Like, again, this draft pick was the final year. I think that the Raptors are going to be out of the playoffs. It was our one chance at getting like a bona fide talent in the draft, and that's not going to happen. So that's pretty annoying. Like I said, I saw the lottery odds. I didn't get a chance to watch it live. I had to watch it. I was busy in a class. In the middle of the class, I looked down at my phone. I saw the order. And man, I was infuriated. The Raptors dropping 2 picks after the season we just had, after the season we had before that, to make sure we convey the pick to San Antonio. Yeah, it's been frustrating, man. It's very annoying watching how this roster comes together. You just have to hope the end result is worth it. Um, we're gonna, following with the theme of being frustrated and annoyed as a Raptors fan. I'm going to begrudgingly talk about the top four, the teams that won the lottery. So we're going to start with the Dallas Mavericks, also known as the Dallas Nico Harrisons. As fate would have it, they get the number one overall pick. Something that I talked about, and obviously I'm not the only one or the first one. Tons of people talked about, hey, if the NBA does NBA things, Dallas will get this number one overall pick. But what I find very interesting is, I think it was just yesterday, actually, the live stream we did for the last game. Something I talked about with Dallas is that they don't need the number 2 or the number 3 overall pick. That's not going to do it for them. They need to get the superstar. They need to get Cooper Flagg. So now that they have Cooper Flagg, they have a lot of options. I think they should keep the player. I think some people are going to theorize that you could trade Cooper Flagg. You have a very veteran team, an aging team. Maybe you don't have the ability to to rely on a 19-year-old, given that you're chasing for a championship. But honestly, I would say that you keep Cooper Flagg because he seems to have the kind of game that would complement players like AD and Kyrie really well. When I watch Cooper Flagg, I got the impression that he's a talented player that can do a whole lot of different things, but he's not somebody that's looking to really impose himself on a game. That sets him up nicely to be like a complementary piece, but not somebody to really take things over on his own. So you put him on a team with Kyrie and AD, and he's not really in a position where he has to force himself onto games. He can kind of sit back, let the game come to him. I think he would be a great contributor to a team like Dallas. Again, I know because of his age and because of Dallas's age, the general age of the Mavericks team, you're going to see people theorize about them trading him. I don't think they should do that. I think they should take the player, try to appease to the fan base, and see what happens from there. So I'm personally not making this trade. It's absolutely wild that after all the dramatics, all the craziness, the Dallas Mavericks got the pick. Again, the NBA does NBA things. The second pick, another team that jumped up in the draft, the San Antonio Spurs, aka the San Antonio Wembies. So this team is very interestingly positioned. I just talked about the prospects of Dallas trading their young player for a veteran player. Talked about why I don't think Dallas should do it. I think San Antonio should definitely make that kind of move. And the reason is because you just made a trade for De'Aaron Fox. And when you make a move for De'Aaron Fox, you've already accelerated your timeline. Like, you don't trade for a 28, 29-year-old player and then, all of a sudden act patient with your roster. The De'Aaron Fox trade dictated a window, and they can now operate within that window. Wemby can be like the young contributor on the team, but they got to trade this pick. They're well positioned to make a push for Giannis. They're well positioned to make a push for whoever. They could even sit here and take Ron Harper Jr. And trade Stephon Castle. They have a ton of options, whole lot of things they can do. So I think that's pretty cool for them as well. Again, a lot of options here for San Antonio. If they do end up making the pick, I feel like it would have to be Harper. That would be a little bit redundant with Castle and Fox. But I don't know if you can pick Ace Bailey. It does feel like Ace Bailey's stocks have took a bit of a hit in light of the scouting combine measurements. So we'll see where that goes. But like I said, well positioned to make a trade. I don't know if they're well positioned to make this pick, but the point is that they got insane value. They had a crazy night during the lottery when they got their rights to Wembanyama, and now this is another big instance of them jumping up in the lottery. San Antonio has a ton of luck, man. That franchise just always finds a way to get amazing players. It's pretty crazy to see. And then the third team to win the lottery was the Philadelphia 76ers, aka the Philadelphia 76 players injured. This is a team that was had a roster plagued by injuries last year. Did have an older, I guess like the core of their roster was pretty old. We saw some young players on the team that we liked. Obviously, we like Maxey, we like McCain, and now they're probably going to add Ace Bailey, I think. As for how I see that going, I just think that Philly's a mess regardless. This just kind of gives them, if anything, the ability to potentially pivot. If things go left with Paul George and Embiid, you can always just flip those for whatever you can get and then try to work around Maxey and Ace Bailey. they could trade this pick. You know, they're also like San Antonio. They can consider flipping this pick for some help now. They're incredibly invested in Joel Embiid and Paul George. And while I just mentioned the prospects of maybe flipping them to go young, the reality is it's going to be really, really difficult to trade those pieces. They're older players. They're on huge contracts. They have extensive injury issues. You're so invested in those two pieces. You might look at this pick in the lottery as an opportunity to build, to just like to trade this player and to add to that core, to just salvage what you can from having Paul George and Joel Embiid. So that's also a possibility. That's also something that could happen. But yeah, man, crazy luck for this team. This is another team that needed it. I don't think San Antonio needed this at all, but Dallas and Philadelphia needed this in the worst way. And they definitely got it done. So, yeah, I'm sure they'll be pretty excited about that. The fourth pick and the last team to win in the lottery, the Charlotte Hornets. No nickname for them. I wasn't that pissed about them getting this pick. What I will say, though, is that I do think they're going to mess this pick up. And here's why. The first reason I think they're going to mess this pick up is because they always do. But the second thing, the second kind of prediction I'm making with this pick is I think they're taking Edgecombe. And that's not like a hot take or anything, because I think Edgecombe is a lot of people's number 4. But my issue with Edgecombe is just the fact that it's like he's a traits player that has developmental upside. And those kind of players, I think, are frustrating for certain kinds of teams. So, for example, like if Philly was 4 or Dallas was 4, I don't think those are the kind of teams that can welcome a player like Edgecombe. I think Charlotte is. You know, Charlotte is. They're not on a strict timeline. They can take their time with this roster build. They don't have a whole lot of momentum. As a franchise, like for the most part, their only objective is to take the highest ceiling possible, because they need to hit as aggressively as possible with every pick that they make. So this is probably Edgecombe. And when I think about a traits player with developmental upside going to a team like Charlotte, my belief in them developing him is 0. So I just think that that's what happens. I think Charlotte takes VJ Edgecombe and he ends up being a bust. That's my call for a pick like that. So, yeah, man, I think it's a very interesting set of 4 teams. I think Charlotte is the only team that really I don't have any ill will towards. I'm incredibly jealous of the teams that finished in the top 3. And look, ultimately, when it comes to teams like Washington, Utah, and I think there was a third team that really got screwed. There's a bunch of teams that did not win in the lottery. I think this is like the 3rd or 4th year in a row that the worst team in basketball didn't get any of the lottery awarded picks. So that's another crazy thing. But yeah, I mean, as far as those teams go, I'm not really upset for Utah because that tank was so blatant. That tank was so blatant. So to see them fail, that's a beautiful thing. I know the owner went on the Pat McAfee show and talked about trading up for Cooper Flag wherever they ended up in the lottery. So I think that's kind of sucks for them, man. The trade from 2-1 or 3-1 is not the same as the trade from 5-1. So that kind of sucks for them. Who else? Oh yeah, Washington. It is what it is, man. Washington is getting yet another opportunity to be bad. They're probably going to be up there for AJ DeMonta next year. So I don't really feel bad for Washington. And was there anybody else? Who else finished? Who else kind of got screwed? Oh, New Orleans. Yeah, I don't really feel bad for New Orleans either. I think they've messed up quite a bit. Like they had AD. They didn't do anything with AD. Then they flipped AD for a King's ransom. Didn't do anything with the King's ransom. Won the lottery, got Zion. Didn't do anything with that. So New Orleans, I think that's a wasteful organization. That shit doesn't really matter. So yeah, that's that's the lottery reaction top to bottom. Make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We're on the road to 250 subs, people. So make sure you subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss out whenever I go live. This was a real quick live. I just wanted to touch base with the community. Make sure everybody knows where I'm at. I'm gonna see you guys tomorrow at, I believe, 9:30 Eastern. I'm just gonna double check the time. I'm gonna see you guys, 9:30 Eastern for Nuggets Thunder. Game 5. It's going to be a great time. But like I said, make sure you hit the like button. That's one of the best ways to support content. It lets YouTube know that this is good content that other people should see. And subscribe to the channel to make sure you don't miss when we go live. I will see you guys tomorrow. It's going to be a great time. Can't wait to see you guys there. You guys take care. I am out.